Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Pavitra. With me is Ekta as always. And for the markets, I mean, of course, it's been a week day since the word go. It is around 90 points lower, but we have come off the lows quite significantly. What's doing well? You have some of the private banks which are really, helping. So you saw that big reversal come through in the likes of ICICI, Axis, which are relatively doing a lot better. But of course, on the other end, you have the PSU bank basket, you have the metals, pharma. So I guess overall, nervous ahead of that big Q.
Absolutely. And we did have the MPC minutes also, which were a bit cautious and hawkish. So I think the market is weighed down by the macros at this point in time. So 19,300 currently is where the Nifty is at. We have stocks such as Bajaj Finserv, which are managing to hold up quite steadily. Remember, there was a positive note which came in for Bajaj Finance this morning. So that stock is up around 0.8% at this point, over 8,000 odd rupees in terms of a target price for that particular counter from the brokerage. But in any case, we do have a lot of queries in the next 30 odd minutes, and we have Ruchit Jain joining in to discuss it on the fundamentals. On the technicals, and Astha Jain here to tell us about the fundamentals on the queries that we have. Ruchit as well as Astha, welcome to the show. Well, let's get to the first question. We have Saeed, who writes to us from Andhra Pradesh. He holds 12,000 shares of Vedanta, which he's bought at around 296.86 to be precise. He's a long-term investor and wants to know what to do with his holding, whether he should book losses or whether he should stay invested. Well, Astha, ladies first, let's start with you on this one. Vedanta, the fundamental view.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon to both of you. So talking about Vedanta, I think this stocks one should keep it in the hold category for the time as of now, because I think in the long term we can see some sort of upside momentum in the stock on the basis of what the company is doing in order to stabilizing their balance sheet. Their company is having a strong focus on stabilizing its balance sheet, and they have a leadership position also if we talk about the zinc related metals, etc. So I think in the long term, whatever companies taking steps right now that can yield the benefit, but in the short term there can be some volatility. So here, if the time horizon is long term, then a hold is recommended for the price target of 280 to 295.
Okay, 280 to 295. Ruchit, what is your view on Vedanta? I mean, if you look at just the past month or so, it's definitely not been so good. But what would you suggest for our investor? Do you get out now or do you stay invested?
Yeah, hi, very good afternoon, Pavitra. Very good afternoon, Ekta. Last 1.5 months, the kind of selling that we have witnessed, that has, distorted a bit of mid to long-term charts as well. And this recent selling has also witnessed an underperformance from the stock within this entire metal basket. So my advice would be to take an exit on any kind of pullback moves in the stock. The resistance or any pullback move would now be seen in the range of 250 to 260. I think even if the entire metal basket does well over next 1 year or 1.5 year period of time, then outperformance could be seen from other metal names such as maybe Tata Steel or Hindalco, which should be preferred now over Vedanta. So I would advise to take an exit on any kind of pullback moves towards 250 to 260 and rather shift your investments towards either Tata Steel or Hindalco.
Okay, all right. So move to Tata Steel or Hindalco. So that's the view coming in. Let's get in another query now. We have Rajiv, who writes to us from Pune. He holds 4,000 shares of Indus Towers, which he's bought at around 320 rupees. He is asking if he can hold his investment for another year odd or exit at current levels. Well, sitting on a loss at this point in time. So Astha, fundamentally, do you think it makes sense to hold on to Indus Towers, or do you think that one should just cut their losses and move on?
I think in the long term, this stock might touch 200 or 205 levels on the basis of what the performance they are showing on the fundamentals, because the quarter gone by, they have shown good performance on the basis of the high tendency addition. So that is working in favor of this company as such. So I think Indus Tower is purely now a long-term story, and we really need to see, because whatever we have seen due to this 4G rollout, which already being done, the company was very much looking strong on that part. So now all eyes are on the 5G rollout, which is companies looking for. And I think due to that reason only, I will be comfortable with the long-term prospects only. In the short term, they might see some sort of volatile movements, but in the long term, I think 200 or 205 can be set as a target. So the losses can be, downsized if they keep it for the long term only. So here it is only for the long term recommendation for hold, not for the short term.
All right. I mean, the buy price is pretty high, right? It's if you bought at 320, you've definitely been holding this one for a while. But like Astha said, maybe if you hold on for a little bit longer, you could cut your losses. Ruchit, would you have a view on this one as well? Indus Towers?
Yes, no, even my recommendation would be to hold on for now. No, because I think the price-wise corrective phase is behind us in the stock. No, off late we have seen that low top, low bottom structure, which it was forming on the weekly and the monthly charts, now that is converted into a sideways range where 185 is the immediate resistance for the stock. So now I don't think there would be much corrective phases from here on price-wise, but yes, there could be some short to medium term time-wise correction, and once this kind of time-wise correction is over, whenever the stock manages to cross that 185 mark, I think then you can expect levels towards 230 kind of levels also. So my advice would be to continue to hold on. These are not the prices where one should look to cut out the losses.
Okay, got that. That is on Indus Towers. The next query comes in from Amandeep S, who writes in from New Delhi. He says he has 200 shares of Exide, which he bought at 219. The stock is closer to 260 right now. It's above that level as well. He wants to know the future prospects of his investments. Ruchit, I was just looking at the 6-month chart, so it's up around 50% in just that time. Do you think there's lots more to be made here and you should stay invested?
Yes, I think we have seen a long consolidation phase in this stock. If I look at some of the longer term charts, then since 2014 to 2022, July 2022, the stock had not given any kind of returns. So almost 7 to 8 years of consolidation was seen in the stock. And after this consolidation, it has been last 4 to 6 months where we have seen a good price volume action where price up moves have been supported by higher volumes. So this is indication of a broader uptrend which has just started in the stock. So I think it's a long way to go for this name, and maybe around 330, 340 would be the initial targets where you can expect in the next 6 to 8 months. So hold on to your existing positions, ride on to the trend, and around 330, 340 you can take a review again on this.
Okay, all right. So that's on Exide. Would you have a fundamental view, Astha?
Sure. So if we talk about Exide, I mean, being a player in the geopolitical organized lead acid battery market, this is one of the leader in this market. And what they have done, that they were first to set up, for the EV, they have set up the EV assembly part there. So they were the first who have entered into the EVs also. So I think that will be playing better for this company. And they have a strong, order book. And whatever the lead acid batteries they are making, these batteries are finding good applications in the industrial and the automotive space, and all these sectors are really right now they are like booming, so that will also help the company. So I think it's a hold right now, but my target is somewhere at around 295 to 300 units.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in, but let's welcome back. Well, you're still tuned into Your Stocks on CNBC TV18. We still have Ruchit Jain as well as Astha Jain Shah to take you through all the questions that we have. Let's get to another question then. We have Raj Gopal, who writes to us from Telangana, holds 31 shares of D-Link India, which is bought at around 275 rupees. Medium-term investor wants to know what to do and what the future prospects of this investment are as well. Well, let's start on the technicals first. Ruchit, what would you recommend on D-Link?
So off late, we have seen that the price up moves have been supported by rising volume. So this indicates that short to medium term, we can expect further up move. But no one should, if he's holding the existing positions, then 300 should be the stop loss on his positions, because 300 to 310 would be very strong support where 40 days exponential moving average is placed. So I would recommend him to continue to hold with a stop loss below 300. And on the high side, potential target should be seen around 370 to 380.
Okay, 370 to 380 there. Astha, what about you? How do you look at D-Link, and do you think this is a good one to hold on to?
Although we don't track the stocks in such a great depth, but what I can say right now, because we have just analyzed the results, so results were okay. I think they have shown somewhere around 30% growth in their bottom line, being a MNC company into the IT. I mean, the kind of growth which they have shown, I think that is looking very strong, and that's why even I think the stock has a potential to touch more upside from here. So it might touch level of 350 or 360 on the basis of fundamentals which we have tracked, although not in so great detail.
Okay, got that. Let's also get in another query. We have Mayank Sham who writes in from Pune. He holds 100 shares of Imami, which he bought at 485. So he is making some money on this one. He asks if his investment can give him good long-term gain. So, he's happy to hold on for a while. Astha, your call on Imami, and, do you think within the consumption space, this is a good way to play it, or are there other stocks that you would recommend?
I think one can hold the stock, although within the consumption space, this is, I think, not so, attractive stock right now. But I think even one can hold, because what we have seen from the past result that their non-summer portfolio did well. The summer portfolio was not that good, because we have seen some sort of unseasonal rain. But the Dermicool brand, that is working well for the company. In fact, in that only we have seen some sort of growth. Even their pain management was also, segment was also doing well. So I think Imami is looking good to us from the medium-term perspective, and somewhere at around 570 or 575 levels, one can set their targets on. So right now it is hold from our side with a price target of 575.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get to another query now. We have Sai Sundar who writes to us from Kerala, holds 50 shares of LT Foods, which is bought at 160 rupees. Is a long-term investor, wants to know what to do and whether this is a good stock with a 5-year horizon period. So currently just about sitting flat on this particular investment. So Astha, what would you recommend?
So I think one can hold this stock because we all know that it is into the basmati, and also the main focus is into that brand. And we have seen some sort of capex was also done by the company, and they have set the capex target of around, I should say, 120 crore for FY25, and it was at around 140 crore for FY24. So I think this capex which this company is doing, it is mainly for their warehouse or the warehouse setting up, or the power generations or the capacity expansion. All these steps will lead to the strong financial performance going ahead. So right now we are limiting our price target to around 190 level, but I think these targets can be further upgrade. But right now one can hold the stock with the initial target of 190.
Okay, got it. Target of 190. Ruchit, what about you? What do you think of LT Foods? Today it's down around 6%, but it is trading pretty much near all-time highs. What is your call on this one?
Yeah, so there could be some short-term corrections in the stock because we have seen a significant rally from around 90, 100 range, which it was trading at the low of the March. And last 4 months from 100 rupees, the stock has almost doubled to 190, 200. So the momentum readings are overbought, and hence some pullback move could be expected, where the major support for the stock would come around 145 to 150 range. So since his queries move from a longer term perspective, the longer term trend definitely remains positive. And once this corrective phase is over, which could find support around that 145 mark, then the stock could again resume its uptrend.
Okay, got that. That is on LT Foods. Another stock I want to ask you about, which has been doing very well, and this query comes in from Jyoti Singla, who writes in from Kota. She says she holds 40 shares of Sarda Energy. She bought these at 143. The stock is now at 205. She's a medium-term investor and wants to know whether to hold or sell. Ruchit, this stock is up around 15% in 1 month. For the year, it's up around 85%, if I'm not wrong. What would you suggest on this, and do you think this uptrend is going to continue?
Well, if one is looking from a longer term perspective, then I would recommend to continue to hold. But I think since it's just queries for short to medium term, I would recommend to book at least partial profits over here, because the rise in the prices, recent rise in the higher top in the prices is not being confirmed by the higher top in the momentum readings, and usually such divergences leads to short-term corrections. So in short term, we can expect some pullback move in the stock, and since good profits are there, I would advise to book partial profits and hold partial positions from a medium-term perspective.
Okay, what's your opinion, Astha, on Sarda?
Sorry, we don't track this stock, so I cannot comment on that.
Anything within the space? Anything within the space that you would be recommending?
In the energy space, as of now, no. We are not so much positive in the energy space, because we are very much positive in the capital goods space, or like we are recommending Ingersoll Rand and that. And even paper is also looking right now good to us, paper sector, where Orient Paper is our recommendation. So not really in the energy space.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Not in the energy space as of now, but Parvesh Sharma now writes to us from Delhi. He holds 300 shares of Saxoft, which he's bought at 141. medium-term investor. He's made some returns on his investment. He wants to know what to do, whether to hold or to probably take some profits off the table. What are the charts telling you on this one, Ruchit?
Well, the momentum readings on the charts are quite overbought on the weekly charts as well. We have seen a good rally from 150 to 350 without any meaningful correction in last few months. So I think some corrective phase could be seen in the near term. So my advice would be to book profits over here and take some money off the table.
Okay, take some money off the table and at least partial profits in Saxoft. Sir, your call on this. Is this a stock that you like and would you recommend holding on?
I think for the longer term perspective, one can hold, but the initial price target can be set somewhere at around 375 to 380 level. So if we talk about this IT company, I mean, they have recently acquired one IT company, that is Solveda, and I think that is having their, great strength in the e-commerce. And e-commerce is such a segment which is really in the great demand right now. So I think this will be really helping the company, showing strong financial performance going ahead. So it is purely a long-term story, and that's why we are more positive on the long-term prospects of this company. Right now, we are giving the price target of just around 375 to 380 at the initial level, but they are subject to further upgrades.
Okay, well, that stock has rallied very significantly in the past 12 months. It's given returns of over 200%. Let's get to another question then. We have Dixon Amana, who writes to us from Kerala, holds 321 shares of Aarti Drugs, which is bought at 625 rupees. So sitting on a loss there, wants to know what to do, whether to hold or sell his investments. Astha, what would you recommend on this? Because Aarti Drugs, it's one of the leading producers of the diabetes drug metformin in the world. It does have that kind of market share. It's involved in APIs as well. So what would you recommend in terms of a holding on a company which has such a strong share?
Yes, they are having the leadership position, but the results were not that good, and the volumes were good. But what we have seen was a problem with the realizations. But going ahead, I think because we have seen in the results also that their exports were down, especially in the formulations and the specialty chemical business. But I think going ahead, API business is looking strong to us, and I think that will be generating opportunities for the company or the demand for the company. And in fact, company has done one capex also of around 315 CR, I suppose, and I think that will be for the basically backward integrations or the capacity expansion as well as new product launches. So whatever the steps this company has been taking, I think that will be yielding results in the long term. So I think rather than booking losses at the present moment of a time, one can stay invested in the stock. However, initial price target can be set at around rupees 645.
Okay, 645 is the target on Aarti Drugs. With that, Astha and Ruchit, we're going to wind down. Thank you very much for joining us and taking us through this entire bunch of queries that have come in. We are going to wind down on your stocks with the news that the market is down 120 points. We've definitely slipped around 40 points in just the time that we've been talking over this show. The mid-cap index down 330 points. Thank you for tuning in. We have closing bell after the short break to take you through the final hour of trade this week.